Hi there. If your UK business carried out innovation or development work, you may still be able to claim R&D tax relief, but the 2-year claim window means thousands are lost every year.
Hello there. Today, we're walking through a guide put together by the tax advisors at My Tax Accountant. We're going to be looking at the rules for R&D tax relief, specifically how you can claim for work you've already done, and crucially, a new deadline that's catching thousands of innovative UK businesses out. This is absolutely vital stuff for any company that's investing in its future.
So let's just kick things off with a big question for you as a business owner here in 2026. What if I told you that your business could be owed a significant cash injection? We're talking tens of thousands of pounds for innovation you carried out way back in 2024. This isn't some fantasy, it's a real government incentive you might have already earned. That cash could literally be sitting there, waiting for you.
But here's the catch. There's a new and very strict rule from HMRC that could kill your entire claim before you've even started. Now, lots of businesses know they can claim for past work, but it's this new 6-month tripwire that most people are completely missing. It's a simple little admin step, but one that has huge consequences if you get it wrong.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll look at the big 2-year opportunity. Then we'll unpack HMRC's 6-month trap. We'll help you figure out if it applies to you, walk through how to secure your claim, and finally, look at what to do if you think you've missed a deadline. By the end, you'll have a really clear picture of how this all works.
All right, let's dive right in with the basics. How far back can you actually go to claim for R&D? This is the foundation of the whole thing, so it's really important we're clear on how this works before we get into the tricky bits.
So the whole idea is built on something called a retrospective claim. Put simply, the UK tax system gives you this pretty generous window to look back over your last 2 financial years and spot any qualifying R&D work. It's designed this way because the government knows that when you're flat out innovating and solving problems, the paperwork can take a back seat. This 2-year window gives you the breathing space to go back and get it right.
And this visual lays it out perfectly. Let's say your company's financial year ended back in March 2024. You'd probably file your tax return around March 2025, but you've actually gotten until March 2026 to go back, amend that return, and add in an R&D claim. That gives you a full 24 months from the end of that accounting period. Seems simple enough, right? Well, stay with me, because this is where it starts to get complicated.
Right. Now we get to the bit that catches so many businesses out. HMRC has brought in a new hurdle, a new piece of admin, but with a much shorter deadline. You can think of it like a hidden gate on the path that slams shut long before you reach the final destination you had in mind.
It's called the Claim Notification Form, or CNF for short. For any accounting period that started on or after April 1st, 2023, some companies now have to give HMRC a heads up that a claim is coming. This isn't the claim itself, mind you, just an intention to claim. So why did HMRC bring this in? Well, they were trying to cut down on a flood of poor quality last-minute claims. But for genuine businesses, it's just created a new box to tick that's incredibly easy to miss.
And this is what really brings it home. You've still got that huge 24-month window to get your full, detailed claim prepared and submitted. But if you're one of the companies that needs to notify, you only have 6 months from your year-end to do it. If you miss that tiny window, the big one doesn't matter anymore. Your opportunity is gone before you even knew it was there.
Let's just make this concrete with a couple of examples for 2026. Imagine you're running a software startup in Manchester with a year-end of June 30th, 2025. Your claim notification would have been due by New Year's Eve. Or maybe you have a small engineering firm in Birmingham with a December 31st year-end. You'd only have until June 30th, 2026 to notify. You can see how fast that 6-month window just vanishes.
So, the million-pound question is, does this notification rule actually apply to your business? Because it doesn't apply to everyone, which just makes it more confusing. But what HMRC calls a new claimant is probably broader than you think, and this is what catches a lot of people out.
Okay, here's where people get tangled up. So let's break it down into 3 simple checks. First, you absolutely have to notify if you're a first-time claimant. Easy enough. Second, you also have to notify if you've claimed before, but just not in the last 3 years. But it's this third one, the amended return trap, where you really need to pay attention because it can trip up even experienced claimants.
You'll definitely want to hear this part. Let's say you made an R&D claim for your 2022 financial year. You'd think that means you're not a new claimant, right? Not necessarily. Here's the catch. If that 2022 claim was for a period that started before April 2023, and you submitted it by amending your tax return after the new rules kicked in, then HMRC says it does not count as a previous claim.
In that specific case, you're still considered a new claimant for your 2025 period and you must notify them. It's a real technicality, but a very costly one to get wrong.
Okay, so you've figured out that you can make a claim, and you know whether or not you need to notify HMRC. So what's next? Let's walk through the practical steps of actually putting together a solid, successful claim in 2026, because the level of detail required has gone up significantly. So apart from that first notification step, there's another form that's now mandatory for everybody. It's called the Additional Information Form, or AIF. This has to go in digitally before or at the same time as your tax return. And on this form, you need a detailed technical story of your project, the challenges you were trying to overcome, and a full breakdown of your costs. This is not a tick box exercise, believe me. HMRC wants to see the detail.
And here's a really valuable tip from the experts. Keep notes as you go. Don't try to piece together the history of a project 2 years after it happened. Things like lab notes, minutes from technical meetings, even internal emails where your team is debating a problem, that stuff is absolute gold dust if HMRC ever comes knocking. It proves your R&D was a real, planned process, not just an afterthought.
One more really important thing to remember, the R&D scheme itself has now changed. For any accounting period that started on or after April 1st, 2024, your claim is now calculated under the new single merged scheme. This has replaced the old separate schemes for SMEs and large companies, and the way you get the benefit is different. For many, it'll now be a credit against your tax bill, not a cash payment, which is a big deal for cash flow planning.
Now stay with me. This next point is absolutely critical for any business that's worried they might have missed that 6-month notification deadline. What happens then? Is there any way to fix it? Let's look at the cold, hard facts.
The reality is pretty stark. This isn't a minor slip-up where you get a slap on the wrist. If that claim notification form was required for your period and you didn't send it in on time, HMRC will simply reject your R&D claim as invalid. That's it. The chance to claim for that entire year is completely lost. It doesn't matter how groundbreaking the work was. The door's closed.
And while technically there is a process for HMRC to accept a late claim, it's reserved for truly exceptional circumstances. We're talking about things that were genuinely beyond your company's control, like a key director having a serious illness, or a fire destroying your records right before the deadline. Simply forgetting, or being too busy, or not knowing the rules. I'm afraid that just won't cut it. HMRC uses this discretion very, very rarely.
So all of this leaves us with one final, pretty important question for your business. With all these new rules, these tricky definitions, and these incredibly strict deadlines, how sure are you that the R&D relief you're owed is actually secure? Not just for the future, but for the valuable work you've already completed.
Right, before we finish, I have to say that this information is for general guidance. It's current as of March 2026, but as you know, tax rules change all the time. So please don't rely on this alone to make financial decisions. It's really not a substitute for getting professional advice that's tailored to your specific business. To make your way through these complicated rules and make sure you get the valuable tax relief you're entitled to, we really do recommend you speak to specialists. You can get in touch with the team at My Tax Accountant using the details you can see on the screen now.
And for more clear, practical updates just like this one, designed to help your business stay ahead of the curve, please do consider subscribing to the My Tax Accountant channel. Thanks for your time.